Welcome to the next module called Balancing Beyond Belief. I'm Andrew Hewitt here with Sanjeev Sidhu, and we're going to walk you through a quick recap from the last module, and then we're going to go into 5 specific balancing techniques to help you balance your ripple and move to that state of empowered despite circumstance. And at the very end, we're going to get into activities for this coming week to help you practice these new techniques. Sanjeev, why don't you take it from here?
Great, thanks. It's great being here with you.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm excited. This is the real work. We've got awareness. Now we get to balance those disempowering behaviors, energy, physiology, emotions, desires, beliefs. Like, this is a lot of stuff.
Great.
So
great.
I'm excited.
So let's dive in and look forward to sharing this next step with you. All of you have been working on your awareness, and hopefully awareness of everyone is high. How's your awareness, Andrew, today?
My awareness, I'll turn my switch on. So there we go. I'm officially aware.
Me too. I'm officially aware. And what's your awareness telling you?
Oh, my awareness is telling me that this is going to be a lot of fun and a breakthrough for a lot of people. I know this was a breakthrough for me, realizing that there's some great techniques for when you're feeling disempowered, and in the heat of the battle you can use them, or you can go deeper into underlying beliefs and really rewire the reoccurring patterns that cause you to be disempowered. So I'm aware of my excitement to share this.
Great.
How about yourself?
What's coming up for me is a desire. And my desire is that I'm imagining all of you at home or wherever you're watching this from, and you're distracted by Facebook, you're distracted by anything, and my desire is that you be totally focused. So maybe I'm going to make up my mind for the next hour, this is the most important thing that I'm going to be doing. How about I get the reverse commitment from you, where for the next hour, this is the most important thing you're focusing on. We can all make this a meditation. We can make it an awareness exercise where we are deeply focused. Deal?
Deal.
Let's get going. So let's start by quickly revisiting what we've learned till now, right? So we talked about Tom and Mary fall into the ditch. And Tom has a very V1 or version 1 response. It's very typical. It's not good. It's not bad. It is what is. And Tom has pre-programmed responses to it. So the moment he gets punched in the face, it's a typical response. He gets angry, he gets frustrated, he gets frantic in his behaviors. Mary, on the other hand, is a V2 ninja. She has a completely different ripple. As the big stone falls, her ripple is really small and it's intentional. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. So most of you have been experimenting with your ripple and have been building your awareness. So let's quickly review some of your assignments. One of them was to review your most disempowering moments, or do a ripple of that. And thanks for those of you who shared your experiences on Facebook, and those who feel comfortable and haven't shared. I think it's very valuable for the community to see what you went through in terms of increasing the light or shining the light on your ripple. The next assignment was to continue that practice, but as a daily recap. So take the PDF, take the ripple sheet, and look back last 24 hours. Look at what your behaviors were, what your energy was like, what your emotions were like, and what your desires that were driving the ripple. And I actually talked to a few of you, and I was amazed that you came to a conclusion that I was hoping some of you notice, which is that no matter what the circumstance, our response to that is pre-programmed and is quite similar. So when you start comparing your ripple 1 to ripple 2, day 1 ripple to day 2 ripple, or most disempowering moment 1 to another disempowering moment, you see that your response is quite similar. Again, not good, not bad. And the idea really is how to learn how to behave more like Mary than Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's in your mind? Anything, any circumstance worrying you, Andrew?
Well, I just recently moved into a new home, and so it's a mess. You know, there's so much to do. There's boxes to unpack and things to figure out, and so my Ripple has been pulsing with just this feeling of overwhelm of stuff to do, and the house being out of order.
Let's do a quick Ripple.
All right, let's dive in.
What's your desire?
My desire is to have order, and I like that everything has its home in its place and to be neat and tidy.
How attached are you to that desire? Do you have tremendous sense of urgency? Do you feel...
Yeah, I guess I'm used to the house being clean, and so my urgency is, you know, my default response is we need to put everything in its place, and so that feels urgent.
Right. And how's that showing up in your emotion and your feelings? How are you feeling about it?
Feeling would be like a frustration or an overwhelm.
I would too. And how about your energy and physiology? How's it showing up there?
Yeah, I feel like it's like this weight on the shoulders. So it's my physiology and energy feels drained. Just thinking about it feels like it's a lot of work, and work that's not fun and creative and on purpose for me. So it's like my physiology feels a little drained.
And behavior?
Behavior would be procrastination more than anything, because it's not the type of work I like to do. So I'm avoiding it.
Yes. Yeah, I procrastinate once in a while.
Just once in a while. Right?
Just once in a while. Thanks for sharing. So let's use that as an example. So by now, we once again visited the awareness technique, at least one awareness technique, where we took Andrew's circumstance and we quickly looked at what we call as the BEED, or the ripple, the behavior, the energy, the emotion, and the underlying desire that was driving it. Today we're going to look at something else. For example, we are going to look at his underlying beliefs that may be driving the desire, that may be driving him to be more disempowered than he really needs to be. So let's quickly go through the same presentation that we've used earlier. And so what we'll do here is review the muscles then. So we want to be able to state shift. The awareness is there about the circumstance that you're in. And we said there are 5 muscles. To recap quickly, one is awareness. You're becoming pretty aware. At least you have 1 week or 2 weeks of awareness exercises behind you. And you'll be amazed what 90 days of awareness exercises will do for you. And the awareness exercises will remain with you. Because as we said earlier, awareness is 50% of the shift. It's one of the strongest muscles you need, because if you have awareness, half the solution comes right there. We have the intelligence. If I teach you nothing else, then chances are you know what to do about it, because you have the innate intelligence. Now, the next muscle is balancing, and it's balancing the ripple. Again, very simply said, when the big stone drops, instead of having a big, automated, uncontrollable response, you're going to go to a more intentional response, one that leaves you more empowered. I bet you're waiting for that. I'll come to that soon. Very quickly, 3 other muscles, as we said. C for clarity. There's a module coming on that very quickly. And then there's deliberate action, because finally you need, once you know everything, if I teach you how to dance, unless you go and practice dancing, nothing's going to happen, right? If you read a book on empowerment and don't practice it, nothing's going to happen. So that's deliberate action, taking actions to really change the world around you. And then there's empathy. And so let's focus then on the balancing and start diving right in. And this is a slide you've seen earlier, and this is where we talk about the 5 steps. And the 5 steps somewhat correspond to the ripple. So you have unintentional behaviors, you can move to taking deliberate action. You have physiology that represents more a state that is best when you're running away from a tiger or you're in the sympathetic nervous response. You want to move it to a parasympathetic nervous response. So we'll talk about things to do to be able to change your physiology.
And you're going to help me with my unclean house?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally.
Great.
And
I'm patiently waiting for this balance, Sanjeev.
Yes, you have a sense of urgency about it. We will absolutely get to that. Now, I wish I could clean the house, but I'll get you to an empowered state where cleaning the house will be easier. How about that?
Perfect.
Okay. So, very quickly then, third is you're frustrated, and we'll teach you how to summon more helpful emotions. What would be a more helpful emotion?
Well, gratitude, any emotion on the positive spectrum would be better than feeling frustrated.
Yeah, so. And I think you'll feel that after some of the exercises we have planned for today.
Great.
And then fourth is really what we call as loving what is, but it's dropping desires, or not really dropping desires, but dropping the intense attachment to a desire. Once you let go the intense attachment, then you released and you have the energy and you have the ability, or you're more empowered to do what needs to be done. So the house will just get clean because you've dropped the desire to clean the house.
Oh, wow. I'm wondering what my girlfriend will think of that, but I get the point. It's when you can detach from the desire, it certainly helps you feel empowered rather than be overwhelmed.
Right. Now, the 4 techniques that we've discussed will get you, again, in a state of empowerment, but many times it doesn't remain because there could be this unhelpful belief, and the unhelpful belief could be, for example, how happy you're going to be when your house is happy. Sorry, that too. But when your house is untidy. Typically, we might find something else to be unhappy about, right? So reframing beliefs is to get to the bottom of what drives your desires. And when you reframe them, you get more permanent changes. And so we have a lot of material to go through, and we'll continue to power through this. Let's continue to dive in.
Let's do it.
And I hope to keep your attention. And I think there's a lot of material here, but it would require a lot of focused attention. So let's go then to the next step. And a little bit of, we are talking about state shifting, right? You're in a state, you're disempowered, you've been punched in the face, or you're in a ditch. And you want to transition out of it. And typical tendency is to fight the state you're in. So I go back to this quote from Ramana Maharishi, who said that you cannot really fight darkness. What you need is to find the light or to light the candle. Because you'll scramble, fight the darkness, and that's not going to do you much good, right? It's lighting the candle. So you're in state 1, you want to go to state 2. The first thing you do is embrace that state. Don't be scared of the darkness, right? Then find a transition. If you scramble to find the light, then you'll go to a more automated response. And we'll talk about embracing the state, finding a transition, and then summoning the new state. As we do that, I would like to review what happens in nature, right? In nature, assume there's a zebra and it's attacked by a tiger. The zebra is running, and it has all the right intuition, it has all the right body physiology. It gets into a sympathetic nervous response, its blood is in the right place, its heart is pumping, and it's running. It's the right response. Then either it's eaten by the tiger or it escapes. When it escapes, what does a zebra do? It shakes itself off, right? And then you see the zebra very peacefully eating grass again, as if nothing happened, right? So there's a struggle, there's a climactic transition, which is the shake, and then you go to your future state. So we will try to copy this. So when we are already in the sympathetic nervous response, we can't automatically move to being joyous and happy. We need a transition state, and we need to summon the new state like we need to light the candle. And we'll do a few exercises to be able to do that. So very quickly, in the order that we talked about, taking deliberate action, this is a big topic, and we have a whole module towards that. But since you have angst relative to your...
I am procrastinating around getting the house set up, so...
Okay, let's review some basics really quickly. These are things that will help you. And also, those of you who have resistance relating to the homeworks or the assignments, these are some of the things that would help you. Sometimes an assignment seems big. Sometimes the cleaning house, you think it's going to take a week or longer. When the assignment is big, it threatens you. And there's a monk inside you, the logical part, which is saying, you know, this has to be done. And the monkey inside you, which is your more subconscious limbic brain, which is saying, screw that. Let me do something fun. Let me watch TV. Let me go out with friends. Or, heaven forbid, be on Facebook.
Right.
Right? So it's the struggle between the monk and the monkey. So you have to make the job a little easier for the monkey. How do you do it? Make the task really small. So several experiments show that in house cleaning or tasks like that in particular, set an alarm for 5 minutes. It's not threatening. And actually, when the alarm rings, you can stop. Many times you'll feel...
You'll probably want to just keep going. You're in the flow then, right?
You're in the flow and you might keep going. Right? And so make the task really small, and it gets you into the habit of doing that. And it gets you to the mat. And once you're on the mat, you might exercise more. Make sense?
Totally.
So the second step we talk about is celebrate and focus on actions rather than the results. So you put an alarm for 5 minutes and you're saying, you know, what can I do in 5 minutes? It's not really, it's a drop in the ocean. And it's not going to make a difference. No, it's not what difference it makes. It's not the results you get. It's the action. So it's the focus on the journey, right? And that mentality allows you to overcome procrastination. Quickly, and these are things that we will cover, figure out what's disempowering you. Right? What's keeping you from taking the action? And it could be that you don't like the task, but more importantly, you have several other important things to be doing, like working on V2, correct?
Right.
And
much more fun too.
Much more fun. And now what you have to do is there's always competing interests, and once you get into the 5-minute alarm, those things knock at you and say, hey, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And your monkey in particular is really interested because this is not a very exciting task for the monkey. Many of the tasks that we have to do today are not tasks that we were naturally wired to do. It's much more fun to go out in nature than to work on a large project and write a presentation. Right? But these are important tasks for us, for society, for helping others, etc. And we need to find the congruence between the monk and the monkey. And this is where you tell the monkey that for the next 5 minutes, this is what I'm going to focus on. This is my only focus. And the monkey understands that. The monkey will cooperate once the instructions are very clear. And the last part, the last bullet here talks about a script. When you're in a ditch, it's very hard to act. There are many actions to be taken, etc. And the easiest actions are the ones that you're pre-programmed for. The hardest actions are the intentional ones that you're not pre-programmed for.
So you're saying write a script so you have a new intentional action that outweighs whatever would have been the default unintentional action.
Right. So we're going to teach you how to write a script, and we're going to call it a playbook. And that comes in a future module. And I think we have some really neat things to share on how to form a playbook.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I see people going through this course, building this playbook by the end of the 90 days, having this really great guidebook on actions that will overweigh a lot of the disempowering actions they've had through the years. So, but obviously that's a bigger part of deliberate action that we're going to get to. Right now we're just scratching the surface, right?
Right. Yes. And by now you're probably dying to go to your house, set a 5-minute alarm.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can I keep your focus here?
Can I stay here for 5 more minutes? Okay. Alarm set. Let's do it.
Okay. Now we'll move to step 2, and these steps need not be done in this sequence. You can pick anything that you're compelled to out of the 5 steps we're going to teach you for shifting states or for balancing. Okay, so this is technique 2. It's called change physiology, and you said your physiology was one where you're slumping,
tired, yeah,
energy was low,
yeah.
And so the way the brain works is that particularly when you're stressed and you're in a ditch, sometimes we exaggerate the nature of a ditch, right? Our fears take over and we think the situation is worse than it really is, and the ripple builds. The physiology becomes disempowered, emotions become disempowered, the desire to get out of the ditch gets stronger and stronger, and we have a false sense of urgency about how to do it. So we somehow need to signal to the body, to the brain, to the logic system, to the limbic system that things are not as bad as they are. One of the easiest ways to do that is through our physiology, right? So you correct your physiology and the rest of the system starts thinking, oh, the things are not bad. So a smile, for example. Science shows that a smile indicates to the rest of the body, rest of the brain, that things are okay, right? And one of the famous experiments is the fake it till you make it, do a false smile, either a smile. Can you smile back at me? Hello? And one of the things you can try now is put a pencil in your mouth, or you can put a finger in your mouth. And once you do that, it stimulates the muscles that are similar to the muscles that get stimulated or fired up when you smile, and it's sending a whole signal to the rest of your body. I actually feel better just with that.
Yeah, that felt good.
Your house is cleaner?
Well.
Okay. So with that, let's do actually an exercise that follows this 3-step formula we talked about, which is embrace the state, give time for a transition, then summon the new state. So if you're in a physiological slump, this is an exercise you can do. So you ready?
Perfect. Yeah.
Good. Are you guys ready? So if you feel comfortable, you can follow me on this. As every exercise, we center ourselves and we connect into our breath. If you feel comfortable, you can shut your eyes. If you feel more comfortable, you can keep your eyes open. It works both ways. And let's connect into our breath. And like we do usually, label, belly rising, and belly falling. And breathe. Let's take one deep breath and hold. And release. Ha. Maybe one more. Deep breath, hold. And release. Ha. And now what we're going to do is lean into the stress, and we're going to do this by completely stressing our body. Tighten your body. Feel the frustration. Feel the frustration in your face, in your heart, in your limbs. Tight, tight, tight. And now take a deep breath and hold. Tight. And ha! Let go. And shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out. That's the transition. And if you feel you can jump, you can dance. And feel free to dance it out. Right? That's your transition phase. So there was a struggle. You were a zebra. There was a tiger following you. And you escaped. And you're just shaking it off.
Just get rid of that past.
Yeah. And now
energy.
You can shut your eyes again and connect into your breath. And watch your belly rise, belly fall, and feel into the celebration of that transition. The tension was good. The frustrated physiology was good. You connected into that. You transitioned. And now, smile. Big smile in your face. smile in your heart, in your legs, and in your arms. All is well. Relax your legs. Relax your arms, your torso, your face, and smile. And when you're comfortable, open your eyes. How did that feel, Andrew?
Felt really good. Yeah, I definitely felt a shift to new energy.
Great. Great. So again, to recap, physiological shifting technique: tense yourself, feel the frustration, feel the anger. If we had time, we could do this for longer, where you're really acting out the anger. You could shout, you could scream, you could punch a pillow, you could feel sad. Give yourself the permission to just lean in. Then be grateful for that. It's not bad. Don't characterize it as I'm angry and it's bad. Just lean into that and be grateful for that. Every emotion, every physiological reaction is for a purpose. Right? Feel grateful. Then transition. Shake it off. Dance. Jump. It's telling your body that the struggle is behind you. You're ready to move into the next phase.
And you get to this place of deep relaxation
Right
at the end, where your energy is really balanced.
Exactly.
Where it's at.
Right. And in one exercise, you could actually, after the breathing, you could lie down. And lie down is also a very powerful sign to the body. Because when things are bad, you don't lie down. When you're being chased by a tiger, you don't lie down. So if you want to tell your mind and the rest of your system that things are okay, one of the best things to do is lie down. And the transitions that we prepared you allow you to lie down. And there's smoother transition into lying down. And once you lie down, your whole system thinks that all is well. So it's a physiological way of signaling to yourself and the rest of your system that all is well.
Like Shavasana in yoga, right?
Totally.
The most important pose.
Yeah, you do the exercises, you sweat it out, and then you do the relaxation. Now, question is, how do I use these exercises, and how does it impact me when my boss is yelling at me? Right?
Put a pencil in your mouth.
Totally. Your boss might get offended if you're smiling at him when he's yelling at you, but you can feel the smile internally. But more importantly, what happens is, what we recommend is, do this exercise. For example, replay this part of the tape and do the exercise and get used to the embracing the state, the transition, and taking the new state. Once you get used to it, you can do it in real life. If you have an opportunity, go to the restroom, smile. Right? Take a break and smile and come back to the meeting. Or just shake it off and go back to the meeting. So there's several ways.
Dance party in the bathroom?
Totally, and I've actually done that.
Really?
I have totally done that. In a tense meeting, I'll go to the bathroom, I'll shake it off, I'll smile, and I'll come back with the poker face, which meets the need of the meeting.
Right.
Great.
Wow. We learned something new today, Sanjeev.
Yes.
A lot more goes on in the bathroom than I was thinking.
Now there must be a camera in the bathroom to capture that. That would be fun.
There we go.
Good. You guys ready to move on? So now let's go to the next technique, which is how to summon empowering emotions. So you're going through being frustrated with your house being messy, and we said they're more empowering emotions, and we'll talk about how to pull them in. Not just in this case, but how to learn how to pull in the most empowering emotion that you need at that time, whether it's gratefulness, whether it's love, or whether to feel super motivated about what's happening around you.
So although I'm feeling the frustration, I summon this new positive emotion
Exactly.
to overwhelm it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we said, quick reminder of the 3 steps, which is embrace where you are, don't fight it, don't fight the darkness. Let's talk about how to embrace where you are, how to find a transition step, and then how to summon in the new emotion.
Great.
I think the best way to do it is, again, let's just dive into an exercise on how to do it. And if you're willing to join, I invite you also to join in. And as you join in, think about an emotion that's disempowering you now or typically disempowers you, and we'll work with that. So again, you can keep your eyes shut, eyes closed. I recommend eyes shut because it brings a greater focus and awareness to the emotions and the feelings that we want to be able to feel. Let's connect to our breath again. And belly rising and belly falling. And let's become aware of our body sensations and accept them for what they are. No need to control the breath. Just watch. And next, let's start noticing the disempowering emotion, whether it's the frustration, whether it's an anger, sadness, fear. Fully accepting it, just noticing it. And breathe, belly rising and belly falling. No fear of the emotion, of the disempowering emotion, accepting it fully, recognizing that it's there for a purpose, recognizing that it's there to serve you, recognizing that once in a while it gets exaggerated, and breathe. With full acceptance of the feeling, extend gratitude towards it, deep gratitude. And say to yourself, you accept any emotion and you're not scared, you have no fear of the emotion. You're not fighting the darkness. You're now going to transition to light the candle. And breathe. And now bring your attention to something that you're grateful about. It could be someone who took care of you as a child. It could be gratitude of all the food that has nurtured you and brought you till this moment. Or it could be for someone you love. And breathe. Now, if you can, intensify the gratitude. Feel it in your body. Feel it in your head. And double it. Feel it growing stronger. Feel it becoming twice as bright. Notice how it feels. Is it a pulsation? Is it a joyous vibration in your heart? Is it a tingly feeling in your belly? A feeling of deep gratitude. Now we're going to intensify the gratitude even further by doing a physical pose where you're bowing down in gratitude to the universe for all that it provides you. And breathe. And when convenient, come up. And now an important transition. Feel the gratitude, but drop the attachment to the reason for the gratitude. So you're feeling gratitude for no reason at all. Experience how that feels. Gratitude for no reason at all. And breathe. And when comfortable, open your eyes. So how did that feel, Andrew?
It was good. You know, what really intensified it for me was I envisioned my dog coming to greet me. I come home and all that unconditional love. And then when you said drop the attachment, it was a powerful moment of, wow, I can continue that feeling despite having the dog trigger it. I can embody that.
Right, right. And how do you think you can use this exercise in daily life?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? It's the meditation's helpful, and how do you do it in the heat of the battle? And so I think having a pre-planned emotion to go to, or for example, when I'm feeling a disempowering emotion, being able to remind myself, oh, when I think of my dog, that makes me feel love and gratitude. That's my go-to in those moments, and having that pre-planned.
Right, right. Great. So what I recommend is you can visit this part of the tape again and practice this. The more you practice, what you learn is you'll be able to summon an emotion at will when you need it without going through these steps. Once you learn how gratitude feels, how joy feels, how courage feels, with no reason, when you disattach to the reason, then you can just pull that feeling back. So we all know how to pull a feeling back. That is within our capacity, just like we can remember a memory, just like we can remember beautiful moments. And then this will become part of your wiring, and you'll be able to pull in a more empowering emotion. In other words, you get really good at lighting the candle when you need to, instead of fighting the darkness.
Right.
Good with that, let's continue our journey through balancing. We've been through how to take deliberate action. We've been through how to do a physiological shift. We just went through how to summon a new emotion. With that, let's quickly go and do this part, which I think is one of the more important exercises. And it gets a little harder to learn compared to the physiology. I think the physiology is one of the easiest to learn. The emotion exercise is, again, relatively easy to learn. Now, the loving what is, or dropping the attachment to the desire that's driving you, is a little harder to learn, but again, it gets more and more powerful, right? As you are able to go here, you'll see that you'll be able to shift faster, and you'll be able to shift more rapidly.
We're getting to that core of the ripple,
Exactly.
right, where it's all driven from.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready to love what is?
I'm ready to love what is.
Great.
Let's do it.
Really, it's very powerful. It's easier said than done. And many teachers teach you about how to be in the moment, to love what is, etc. We're going to take you one step further. It is actually give you a few techniques to be able to shift yourself, particularly when you're obsessed with desires and you're feeling that you'll be okay only when the desire is met. You're probably also feeling at that time that if the desire is not met, you will not be okay. Life will be terrible. And both are usually exaggerations. And that's what the magic of loving what is that you bring yourself into the moment and you learn how to be okay with or without the desire being met. And
power despite circumstance.
Exactly.
Right.
So this is the crux of our teaching, is how to get to be empowered despite circumstance. Also further strengthened by the other exercises, particularly the refrains. Mm-hmm. So again, like we did earlier, let's just dive into a small exercise where I will try to lead you through how to not be so attached to your desire to have a clean house.
All right.
Not that you're giving up the desire, but you're getting into a better state to be able to do what your intentions in life are, to live life in line with your intentions. You want to close your eyes with me and take a deep breath again and connect into your breath. Belly rising, belly falling. And this time, we're going to connect into the desire. Connect into a compelling desire for you right now. If a genie showed up and gave you one wish, what would it be? And feel the nature of the desire. How does it feel in your body? And breathe. And extend gratitude towards the desire. Tell the desire, I hear you. I recognize you. And I'm grateful for you. And breathe. And next, imagine the desire being totally fulfilled. Imagine the joy it will bring you. And recognize that the joy could be an illusion. It could be exaggerated. And it could be temporary. And you'll find something else to worry about. And breathe. Now imagine the desire not being fulfilled. Is there a fear associated with that? Connect with the fear. And again recognize that the fear could be an illusion. Even if the desire is not fulfilled, you'll find other forms of fulfillment. The power is within you. And breathe. With that, step into the current moment. Connect totally with your breath, with the chair you're sitting on, with your body sensations, and be here now. And breathe. Notice how when you're present, the last breath was perfect. Be grateful for that. And the next breath will be perfect. And be grateful for that. And breathe. Next, focus on a challenge in your life today. Notice how you feel about it. Does it create fear? Does it create motivation? No matter what it is, extend gratitude towards it. Challenges are like exercises. They make you strong. Welcome the challenge into your life. And connect with the fact that you're strong and you're capable of dealing with the challenge, capable of being empowered. And you welcome the challenge for growth. And breathe. Again, feel the perfection of the current moment. And feel the perfection within you. Feel how perfect you are, just the way you are. Nothing needs to be fixed. Feel how you're loving what is, loving the current moment. All is well. And breathe. Soak once again in the feeling of all is well. Feel it in your limbs, your torso, and your heart. Feel it with every breath. All is well. Thank you. Welcome to Open Your Eyes. So that was the loving what is exercise.
I'm loving my house in disarray and with boxes and things being untidy. But really though, I still feel that desire. And what this helped me do though was just see the big picture and detach from that and say, well, everything's fine. You know, there's no urgency here really.
Yeah.
And so going to that big picture really helped.
Right. Appreciate you sharing that. And that's the point. It's not to overcome the desire. It's to not have it so controlling you. Is you being more in control is what we're after. And that's what the disattachment does.
Yeah.
So again, a few lessons from that. Once you come into the current moment, it helps a lot. It allows you to see the bigger picture. One of the things we did in the exercise was focus on welcoming challenges. One of the things about desire is we have the inner desire to seek comfort and to get away from discomfort. Once we take this new attitude where we embrace challenges, and it's hard to do, but even if you make a 5% shift where you start building the attitude or building the muscle of embracing challenges, then it shifts your attitude and it disattaches you for this urgent need to avoid discomfort, to seek comfort, to seek pleasure all the time. And suddenly it distances you. It allows you to be in the present, allows you a broader perspective, and allows you to experience this great feeling of all is well and great feeling of loving what is.
Yeah, well said.
Great, thanks.
I'm balanced. I'm ready to get into this next section. This is really where the deeper rewiring happens, right?
Let's do it. Let's do it. So let's talk a little bit about reframing, why it's important, and do you have some limiting beliefs? Do I have some limiting beliefs?
None, Sanjeev. Totally V2. Of course.
Let's explore though, right? Let's talk a little bit about what a limiting belief is. And a very simple example is that if you lived in a culture, let's think of something simple, in a culture where everyone believed that apples for some reason are poisonous. You never ate an apple, you never saw anyone eat an apple, and now you're in a situation where apples are the only food that's available, right? And your belief that apples are poisonous is really limiting you. Question is, how do you discover such beliefs and how do you really overcome them? And that's what we're going to talk about. Before we dive into that, let's kind of review what are limiting beliefs that get embedded into a lot of us from early childhood, right? One of the common ones I see is, one of the common ones that was told to me was that you cannot dance. You're not a good dancer. And I personally...
you are a great dancer. I have seen you dance. Tango machine over here.
No, I love dancing, and I had to overcome that limiting belief. But often I find, and you could add to it, I find people who believe they're not good enough in one way or the other, and it limits them. Tom, for example, was in a ditch, and we said one of his beliefs was that bad things always happen to me. Mary, on the other hand, who was more effective in getting out of the ditch, had the belief that, you know, I'm in a ditch and it's a challenge, and I love challenges. It put her in a completely different point of view. So that's kind of any common beliefs that you come across that people have?
Yeah, all sorts of beliefs. A lot of it comes from self-worth.
Right.
You know, people have childhood experiences that deeply impact them around being worthy or being liked or belonging.
Right.
There are often those recurring triggers.
Right. People out to get me. I think a lot of people have that, where they get into a ditch that they need not be because they feel that somebody is out to get them when they're not.
Yeah.
And so good. Let's then talk about your situation.
All right.
And you have a messy house and you're frustrated about it. And could there be some limiting beliefs that are holding you back?
It's interesting reflecting on childhood and going into the belief. I've definitely built an association that messiness is bad. It's wrong. I can hear my mom telling me to clean up my room in the background, right? So that's certainly, there's a deeper belief around that, and that I need order to be productive.
Great, great. Let's do that systematically. So this whole topic of rewiring, or at least reframing beliefs, has been covered really well by others, and cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, has covered this topic well, but in somewhat of a complicated fashion. But we learn a lot from that. We use some of those techniques, and Byron Katie is a great resource for some of you who want to learn more about this. And so what we have is in V2PAL that you've been using a capability called balancing, and particularly reframing. So what I did was I asked Andrew to fill this out. For sake of time, it's already been filled out, and Andrew and I will explore his answers. And if you could pay attention to this, because this is going to be one of your exercises or one of your assignments to do after today, which is using V2PAL, the balancing portion on that, to do a reframe. So let me take you to what we filled out. Andrew, this is, you're looking at a screen of my V2PAL. I filled yours out here because my V2PAL was open. You go to balances and click on that. You see a lot of balances I've done where I was trying to uncover my unhelpful beliefs or beliefs that I needed to reframe. Previously, you've seen some of my word clouds that we showed you in the last module, and I said that unmindful eating was one of my issues, then being distracted by social media was one of my issues. These are behaviors, and you can do reframing associated with behaviors also. But your first exercise is to focus on emotions. We'll teach you how to reframe your underlying beliefs that are coming in the way of your behaviors or creating unnecessary attachment to desires. Those will come later. So, but let's go take a look at what we did for Andrew here. It says frustrated due to a messy house. I'll click on that. And when I open that, it comes up and gives me this choice. Just for your education, you can pick several balances. I'm picking an emotion. And I've already entered frustrated, messy, because of messy house. But you can see it's prompting me on several other things that I've been frustrated about that I can pick. I must remember to cancel out of this after we are done because this is not my reframe, it's
right.
yours. So
your house is very tidy, always, Sanjeev.
Not if I could help. So let's click again on reframing unhelpful beliefs. And there's several questions you can answer associated with that. The first question is, why do you want to balance this? I typically don't answer that. If you're compelled to answer it, do. But this is the more important question, which says, so what are the underlying reasons for this? And Andrew, what were your underlying reasons for being frustrated by a messy house?
Underlying reasons are I value order,
right,
and that I feel that the messiness, clutter, things in boxes still is distracting,
right,
and pulling me out of my best productivity.
Right. So again, what we do is, and what you ought to do is, whenever you address something like that, you say, does that really have to be? So he says he's distracted by clutter. The question is that a fundamental law of physics that you should be distracted by clutter, or is that a consequence of your beliefs? And can those beliefs, are they helping you? Are they not helping you? And what can you change about that? But let's dive deeper, and that's a lot of what we do. We always dive deeper, and there's this button called This Implies. And if you press it, it opens further. And we pressed it, and it asks another question. And the question is, so what are the consequences of the above? So Andrew said that he's distracted by clutter. He values order. And that's what's frustrating him because he's not getting that. So we ask him what the consequences of the above are. And your answer is?
A lost time, and related to that, lost energy. So it feels like it's taking my time and energy away from me, this situation.
Right. And what are the consequences of that?
Well, it's really feeling disempowered.
Great.
Like this situation is controlling me rather than me being in control of the situation.
Great. So let me take a moment to share some instructions with our dear fellow travelers on this 90-day challenge. So the invitation for you is enter what's a disturbing emotion, and then answer the question, what's the underlying reasons, and then keep pressing the This Implies button and answer the question, what are the consequences of that? What are the consequences of that? Till it makes no sense to answer it. You can go 3 levels deep, 5 levels deep if you like, and you'll see an important self-discovery, an important awareness. And everything you enter here are really beliefs. They're never facts. They rarely are facts. Even something that Andrew entered here, which says he feels disempowered. Andrew, you probably feel that that's a fact, right? Because you do feel disempowered. So that's one way of looking at it. And then the other question to ask is, do you have to feel disempowered?
No, if that belief isn't true, then I shouldn't feel disempowered by it.
Exactly. So that's your invitation. Then there's a question we ask, if all the above are beliefs, and the question we ask is, are the beliefs 100% true, Or do they have exaggeration in it? Right? Are they impacted by a belief system? For example, Andrew said that he had a belief system that messiness is bad. Is that belief really disempowering him, or the fact that the house is messy? And one question he should ask is, two people in the same situation, which is a messy house, could one be less disempowered than the other? And what does the other person need to do in terms of beliefs and actions to be less disempowered? That's what we are about, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we'll now go explore. Make sense?
Great.
Okay. Great. Now I have two questions for you, given that you've agreed that there was some amount of exaggeration, in the sense, doesn't have to be that you're should feel disempowered, and two people in the same situation, one could be more effective. So when you actually believe that a messy house is bad for you and has bad consequences, you lose energy, etc., how do you behave?
It's interesting when you think of the ripple, that core of the ripple is that belief, and it goes all the way up to my behavior, which is that I procrastinate,
right,
of just not wanting to deal with it. Because it's just not, it's overwhelming, it's disempowering, and I end up just not doing it.
Great. And how would you behave if you did not believe that? If you didn't believe, say from childhood, that a messy house is bad?
Well, I'd feel better despite that circumstance.
Right.
I'd embrace it, and I guess more relaxation and acceptance.
Right. So that's what we have entered here. We've entered that Andrew would have feel better, he would have more energy, would relax deeper. So that's the invitation to you then, is answer these two questions based on your disempowering emotion. How do you behave when you believe the things that you listed above? And how would you behave when you did not? Right? Now comes the tough part, or the powerful part, which is reframing. Right? So Andrew had a variety of beliefs. His belief, for example, was messy house is disempowering. His belief was that a messy house means less energy. A messy house has to mean waste of time. Right? And then we invited him to think differently, because he agreed that it's not really helping him to believe that the house is messy. It is what it is. Is there a more useful position he can take relative to his beliefs? So let's think about that, Andrew, then. Is there another way for you to think about a messy house?
Well, I think the simple one is the alternative belief there is I can be empowered in any circumstance, and it doesn't matter what is around me, I can be in the zone and empowered. And so that comes up right away.
Awesome.
And also seeing it as a challenge that I can embrace. It's like, look, I just moved in, there's things in boxes, but this is a challenge. This is something I gotta work through and make the most of. And yes, it's messy, but let's make it a challenge I'm embracing and turning that awareness on.
Right.
And then another belief would be, it's really not going to take that long to put things in order. So I have this belief that it's going to take a lot of time. It doesn't necessarily have to take much time really at all. And
awesome. Awesome.
It's a reframe.
So these are really powerful reframes. And again, invite you to think of more empowering beliefs. And this takes practice, and we'll work with you through the 90 days to figure out. And the community is also there, where you say, this is one of my disempowering beliefs. And the community on Facebook could step up and contribute to what they think should be a more empowering belief. But let's review some of the empowering beliefs that Andrew had. One is he's embracing a challenge. It's usually always a better belief. Whenever there's a difficult situation, we used that before, particularly when we were trying to disengage from desires. So he has a desire really for a cleaner house. And the moment he disengages from that, saying, I actually like this, it's a challenge. It's an opportunity for me to go to the gym, and I'm going to build my muscles. Suddenly that's a more useful belief to have than a belief that says a messy house is bad and I'm screwed, right? My life is over unless somebody else comes and helps me out and fixes the house. The second thing you did was you took responsibility, which is, besides taking it as a challenge, you said, I can be effective, right? So you internalized the issue, you became independent of circumstances. So whenever you're looking at a reframe, think about something you could do and something you could control. That's always a more useful belief than a belief that somebody else should do X, Y, or Z, right? So two powerful beliefs or two powerful reframes, and through the 90 days we'll continue to introduce more standard reframes that help you almost reframe in under many difficult circumstances.
Great. And you know what comes through to me is this, in simplicity, it's at the core of the ripple is this belief, often from childhood, that you're holding on to. You have your awareness switch on bright. You get to see that belief and say, wow, that's not even really true. What's a new empowering belief that can replace that? And once you do that, wow, I feel so much better. I feel so much more empowered. And it's amazing throughout even just one day how often our feelings, our state of energy, our behaviors are all being driven from these underlying beliefs.
Exactly.
Right? So exactly. I'm really excited to share this tool with everybody that's in this challenge. And the technology is such a support where if you can't remember all the questions in your mind or you want to pull up a past reframe, it's been really invaluable to me to be able to use it. And I'm glad others will be able to get to do that as well.
Great. And now you have the energy to go fix your house.
Yes, in 5-minute chunks, right?
And grateful that you have a house.
And grateful through the whole process.
Yeah. Good. So thanks for staying with us. That was a lot of information. You learned the 5 techniques. And any questions on the 5 techniques, Andrew?
Through our session today, we've done a few meditations. Question is, in the moment, if you're in the ditch, what are some techniques you can use to just instantly get shifted, right, and move to a more empowered state?
Right. So like we've discussed before, the thing is that in the ditch, it's very hard to, it's like, think about a sports star, right? Or think about a dancer on stage. To do well on stage or to do well when you're in a ditch, you've got to practice the game before. You've got to practice the dancing before. So a lot of the exercise that we doled out today are exercises that you do, just like people go to the gym, just like people meditate. There are quite a few exercises that we rolled out that if you continuously do, you get stronger and stronger. Thus, when in your ditch, you can summon these capabilities, right? What's an example of a capability that you will summon? Is the ability to pull out a smile to change your physiology. It's the ability to think about what you're grateful for in a situation where your boss is yelling at you, right? That at least you have a job. It's the ability to drop desires. You're in a conversation with someone, to be present and listen instead of a desire to change them, to take the course of the dialogue in a specific way that you're attached to. So those are the things that will come automatically. And again, we encourage you to do these exercises, but again, think of these when you're in the ditch and think about what you ought to do in the ditch. Now, what will happen in your early practice is that when you're in a ditch, when you're punched in the face, it'll be hard to remember this. That's okay, because we have a practice called introspection, right? Where you do your daily recap. You're doing a daily recap of an episode, and the episode was you were punched in the face, you had a bad conversation with a boss, somebody yelled at you, or somebody was unreasonable. The moment you go to your recap, we ask the same question, how was your ripple? And going further, we will ask you a further question, which is, what were your underlying beliefs? Once you start answering them, you can now, during introspection, visualize a better response. Not an automated response, but a response that was more in line with your intentions. Hopefully you're seeing the magic of this path and the power of this path. So you're not required to know everything, but you'll watch a post-game video of what happened to you if you do your daily recap. And when you do your daily recap, you have an opportunity to again say, that's where I had an opportunity to practice some of these skills. So again, summary, you practice these skills somewhat offline, like going to the gym. Then you go into, as you said, heat of the battle. You try to practice these skills, which is staying empowered despite circumstances. Turn your awareness on and use the balances where you can. If you miss them, no problem. You'll have an opportunity to recap the day in V2PAL, and with time, you'll get better and better. So it's like you went on stage, you got a video of what you did on stage, and then you say, that portion has opportunity for growth and improvement.
Great point. Really powerful.
Great. With that, maybe let's review the homeworks for the people.
Perfect.
The first assignment is to practice 3 shift techniques. We taught you a shifting physiology technique. We taught you a technique for summoning more empowering emotions, and a technique for loving what is. So those are the 3 techniques you need to practice. That's your homework 1. Homework 2 is go to V2PAL, pick balances, and pick 1 or 2 of your most disempowering emotions and practice reframing your beliefs or balancing that emotion. That's homework 2. Homework 3 or assignment 3 is a repeat of what we did last time, which is continue to do your daily recaps, right? And my suggestion is if you do 2 per week, that's good enough. So next time we see you is going to be 2 more weeks from now. So you have 2 weeks worth of assignments, and you can practice this as much as you want. And those of you who are keen on diving deeper, I recommend an optional exercise or assignment, which is what is a real-time recap. So during the day, you could go to the timeline view in V2PAL and do a real-time recap. Relative to your recaps and relative to the real-time check-ins, you're now welcome to enter a new field, and the new field is underlying beliefs. So the beliefs you're entering, the fields you're entering right now are your behaviors, your emotions, your desires, etc. Below that, there's underlying beliefs. You can start thinking about what your underlying beliefs are and start filling that out also. So again, thanks so much for joining us in this journey. You've been with us 3 weeks now, and hopefully feeling more empowered, and we look forward to continued discussion on the Facebook community page. Really look forward to people helping each other and supporting each other in this journey. Thanks again, Andrew.
All right, it's been fun, Sanjeev.
And thanks, everyone.